Hey, I'm Nick.
And I'm Ally.
And this is the But Have You Tried bookshelf from the David A. Howe Public Library.
Woot, woot.
It is rainy.
Very rainy.
It is dark.
So dark. I went home
but
for
it's
lunch.
Not cold.
And I have this little mushroom nightlight situation plugged in next to my desk.
Of course you
it's
do.
It's just cute.
Of course.
Yeah,
of course.
Fun.
Yeah.
And it's one of those ones that automatically senses how dark it is and turns on. And it's 12:30 p.m. and I'm eating lunch and it's just on. And
Fully
I was like,
on.
well, that says a lot about what's going on. Yeah.
The mushroom's
opinions.
Spoken. I have delighted in the warmer weather that we've experienced a little bit.
Me
That's
too.
been nice. But the back and forth, I forget how much I hate the back
I
and
know.
forth.
It's such an emotional roller coaster.
That's exactly what it is.
It's like,
That's
and every day,
exactly
sometimes
what it
even
is.
within a day, it's like, yeah, it's 25 now, but it'll be 65 later.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to prepare for a day like that? Like I'm coming to work in my loose linen pants, wearing my parka over top. Like this is stupid. There's no good way to handle it.
And again, that
And I'm mad
parka
about
of
it.
yours, that's like a whole apartment.
It's true. It's like
It's,
walking around in a sleeping bag.
Yeah.
And I love that about it.
Well, I'm happy for you. Aside from walking around in sleeping bags and reading by mushroom light, what have you been doing in your life? Let's talk about books. We always say books for last. What have you been reading? Tell me.
I have been reading a few things.
I'd love to hear about them.
I'm still reading some of the things we talked about last time, so
That's
I'll just skip those
unacceptable.
because I feel like I've been a little bit. I'm reading too many at once, and so they're all going slowly, if you know what I mean. So that's a problem with myself. But I am reading What Time the Sexton's Spade Doth Rust.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. It's like I stopped being able to understand words.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it
Hit me
too.
again. Let me hear it one more time.
What Time the Sexton's Spade Doth Rust.
Okay,
it's
that's what I
Flavia
heard.
de Luce, number 11.
That's what I heard.
And it's kind of the point with these Flavia de Luces where it's like I truly don't remember the title anymore because they're all like that.
Yeah.
And it's like the first couple I'm like, yeah, I know what the title is. But the longer it goes on, the more I'm like, it's the one about this. But anyway,
Yeah. Okay.
I'm enjoying it.
Good.
There's some escalation in the overarching plot going on.
Okay.
And there was a very dramatic twist reveal that I just got to.
Ooh.
That one could argue is a shark jump, but also when you think about some of the things that are like par for the course in Flavia de Luce, I feel like maybe it's normal.
Okay, so I have only read, I think I read the first chapter of the first book just to kind of see what it was all about, and I did like it. But is this a situation where it's like each book has its own central mystery, but also there's an ongoing plot with the recurring characters?
Yes, I'd say so.
So could you pick up book 7 and be fine, or do you need to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
I think you probably could pick up book 7 and be fine. I actually read number 8 or something like that first because I didn't realize it was number 8. And that actually was a weird one to read on the first because more of the overarching stuff I feel like is happening, or more you're missing some pieces to make that one make sense. I feel like. So I re-skimmed it when I was reading through for real, and it made a lot more sense.
I get that.
I think the mystery still made sense without that prior knowledge, but I feel like the kind of emotional character elements of the story really felt a lot more meaningful with the preparation of the other books.
That makes sense. I mean, those books have such a clear visual identity, they all just that's what those books look like. But they do kind of eschew any sort of book 7, you know what I mean? It doesn't really. That's why I wondered. A lot of times when that's the case, they're designed to be pick up.
Yeah, I think you can, but I think you'd probably be better served not to.
Okay.
And I feel like the ongoing stuff, some of it is just family stuff of her squabbling with her sisters and that kind of her dad and her mom and all that kind of stuff. But I feel like more and more in some of the more later books, they've been kind of teasing some of these threads of there's a big picture, almost conspiracy kind of going on that she's gradually learning about. But I feel like it has resisted making that central, probably so that it isn't too hard to just dive in the middle. Okay. But yeah.
All right. That's interesting. I finished one called The Life Impossible by Matt Haig. And Matt Haig is the one who wrote he's written quite a few things that I didn't realize because The Midnight Library was his book that kind of exploded.
Right.
And it had a very much this is a debut novel kind of feel, but apparently it wasn't.
Huh. That's always interesting.
Yeah. So I didn't read that. And I know that you'll relate to this because this is a negative trait that we both share. An aversion to oh, you have to do this. Mm-hmm. An aversion to, like, this is the hottest thing. You absolutely have to try it. That's why I was kind of like, I'm good on the Midnight Library.
I could understand that for sure.
So I never read that. And I read this one. We read it for a book club. And I think I was in the minority of people who didn't like it. It was a magical realism kind of thing. It was written in the form of a letter to a former student. And I just didn't... I never connected with it. It never clicked for me. It was one of those ones where I started and probably 30 pages in, I was like, oh man, I don't think so, And that is also a bad habit of mine that I have where I make snap judgments like that. And it probably colors my experience. I'll acknowledge fair. This. But
because once you have a bad attitude, it's really hard for a book to overcome the bad attitude.
But I think somebody who liked it and somebody like me who didn't like it, we could have a conversation about it and say the exact same things.
It's just a question what it was doing you didn't like.
Do you like that or not? And I didn't. So, it made my interest in the Midnight Library go down even more. But the book club really liked it overall. And it was a packed book club house this time over at the shop in Maine. So, I would never say don't read this book, but it was not for me. It was squarely not for me. For audiobooks, I finished Sonny Boy by Al Pacino. Huh. And now's the point where we play this game where I try to figure out if you've seen anything with Al Pacino.
I don't know.
I just can't think of anything you would have seen. Not The Godfather, certainly not. Not Dick Tracy. I feel like your parents might have liked Dick Tracy back in the day.
I haven't seen it. No. They might like it, but we haven't talked about it.
You haven't seen it. Okay. Jack and Jill with Adam Sandler? No, probably not.
I don't think so.
I don't know. Dog Day Afternoon is great. If I was going to give you an Al Pacino to watch, I would say Dog Day Afternoon.
I have not seen it.
He's just one of those guys,
I mean, it's a name that I definitely recognize, but I just...
Yeah.
That's as far as that goes.
I was listening to this on audio, and he's 80s. He's an old dude, and he always had a very purposeful kind of slow, drawn out delivery. So I definitely had to put this audiobook at 1.4 speed, and then he sounded like 70s Al Pacino rather than Al Pacino in his 70s. So there was some revelations in there about movies that I liked that I didn't know. It was a good time. I think you probably do need to be a Pacino fan to like the
fair enough
biography, and that's not always the case. I read Juliana Margulies, and it read like a novel. Anybody could have enjoyed that.
That's fair.
But you got to be a Pacino fan. Maybe I'll make you watch The Godfather one of these days.
That could happen.
Would you like it?
I have no idea.
Probably your only experience with The Godfather is how much they talk about it in You've Got Mail.
Yeah, mostly. It's come up in other things too. I feel like it's definitely one that's referenced a lot. Yeah, exactly. Go to the mattresses. But I would say the first and probably most meaningful knowledge is from You've Got Mail.
That's acceptable because that's a great movie.
Yeah.
So the rusting one, Flavia de Luz. Did you say you finished that or currently?
I am currently reading.
Currently reading.
I'm getting close to the end.
Is there any other books on the horizon that you finished recently that you want to tell the nice people about?
I don't know if there's finished recently ones, but there are a few that I am currently reading. Probably too many that I am currently reading.
Well, give me another one.
I am also reading Bands of Mourning. That's Mistborn Era 2, Book 3.
Hey. I'm reading a Mistborn book.
That's very exciting.
I'm reading a Mistborn book. I said last time that I thought it was going to happen. My friend Graham put it forward in the book club with my pals, and so I'm doing it.
It's happening.
I'm about halfway through, and I feel okay about it.
Okay.
I feel okay about it.
Okay.
A lot of setup, I feel like. A lot of gather around the table and let's chat is how I'm feeling about it right now. But I don't find the fantasy elements to be off-putting as I often do in fantasy, which again is my problem, not the author's problem.
Right. No, I understand that for sure.
But this is one that I'm not put off by that. I just find it a little slow at the place that I'm at now, about halfway through.
Okay. Yeah, that's something I feel like I really appreciate about Sanderson is that so many fantasy authors, especially big book fantasy authors, I don't usually read that stuff. It's there's so much setup and world building, and it's you jump in and it's hundreds of years before the main story, and they're explaining and it's just I don't care that much about the world. Yeah, maybe that makes me a bad person, but I just don't
makes
care
you a bad
that
fantasy
much
reader
about the
for
world.
Sure.
Right.
Person wise, you seem fine.
Yeah, fair enough. But I feel like Sanderson is really good at making that stuff natural and also character work, which is what I always care about in a book anyway.
This is the first Sanderson that I've read, although I read probably half of the first Evil Librarians book.
Okay.
I was reading that to my son, and he kind of, I don't know, we got away from it.
Sometimes that happens.
Finished it, so I read about half of that. That was it. But yeah, I don't know. As it stands right now, would I want to pick up book 2? No, but I probably wouldn't be hostile if I was required to pick up
Here's what
book
I'm going to
2.
say. If you want to read the first one and be done, you can.
Okay.
If you read book 2, you got to commit to reading book 3.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
Or be sad and miserable, but I don't recommend that.
I'm liking Vin, and I want more Vin, less Kelsier. That's how I'm feeling in this moment.
I will say that is the case narratively throughout the series.
Oh, come on.
I'm sorry, but it's true. There's more Vin throughout the series.
Oh, wait, there is more Vin.
There is more Vin.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought you were saying the ratio as it stands.
I feel like even within the first book, I feel like there's more Vin as it goes on.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that gives me some hope.
Yeah.
So that's good. Are you liking your Sanderson from Era 3?
I think I truly think I might. I don't know. This is maybe a little radical to say, but I might enjoy Era 2 even more than Era 1. And this one in particular, there's this one character who's been around for the whole Era 2, and Era 2 is like 300 years later, incidentally. So it's like
a long time.
It's the same world, but it's just like a new story, basically. Sure. But they like reference the original characters as like historical figures, which is kind of funny. But there's this one character who's been around the whole time who is kind of like a weird one. And I feel like she's really getting a chance to shine in this one in a way that I never expected. Just like quirky things that make me laugh. And I'm having a great time with that.
I'm glad to hear it. So I am reading Mistborn, and then I am reading one called Saturday Night at the Lakeside Supper Club. This is just one I came across on Libby, and I was intrigued by the title.
You know what? Fair.
And it is about, it's following 3 people. One is in the past, 2 are in the present. But they're kind of at different points in everybody's life. And one is about this family-owned restaurant that's just like a staple in this part of the country. Everybody loves it. It's been around for a long time. And the other one is about a guy who is kind of like heir to this restaurant chain dynasty. You know, like his family owns a Cracker Barrel-esque restaurant, and he's, poised to take over. So I'm not too far into it, but I'm really liking it. And I picked it up because I needed to take Mistborn breaks. And so I was like, I need a secondary thing that I can just read 10 pages of and be fine, So that's what I'm doing. Graphic novels, I read a couple. It's called The Lazarus Planet, which is a big DC Comics crossover. And then there's it's kind of a supporting story that's happening outside of the main stuff called Lazarus Planet, Revenge of the Gods. And I actually found Revenge of the Gods to be more interesting than the main story. Sometimes these big comic book crossovers, it's like there's so much build-up and there's so many characters that it's just kind of, you can't do anything with it.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I feel like Lazarus Planet kind of suffers from that. But Revenge of the Gods is about Wonder Woman and Shazam and Mary Marvel dealing with the fallout. Because it's all about like the magical... This is so boring, I'm sorry. It's all about the magical realms in DC Comics kind of shifting. And what that means for characters who are like have God-based powers and everything. So
fair.
Anyway, we have it in our collection. You can check it out if that didn't turn everybody off from it entirely. Shall we move on to television?
Sure.
Okay. You got anything?
Let's move on to television. I am watching Daredevil Born Again.
Oh.
Okay. And I will say so far it has not been too violent.
I think it's coming, but good for you.
That's fair. I feel like so far, there's definitely a violence range with Marvel stuff, but I feel like so far I don't even feel that it has been at the top of the Marvel violence range.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, but I'm enjoying it so far.
Did you watch the original?
I did not.
Okay.
So
did you watch She-Hulk though?
Yes.
He's fun in She-Hulk.
He is fun in She-Hulk.
And we just watched Spider-Man: Homecoming, and he's also the cameo.
I love that cameo.
I love him as Daredevil. I just can't stomach the violence. So
I think I'll let you know how it ends up. But I think you'd be okay with this one so far.
Randomly, we started watching Luke Cage from the old Netflix era.
Oh.
The only thing of that I ever finished was Jessica Jones season 1, and I was just feeling like maybe I should give those a shot.
Fair enough.
I think Luke Cage has its fair share of violence too, so we'll see if I stick it out. All right, so Daredevil for you. What the heck am I watching? Well, I finished a few.
Oh.
There's a show called Divorce, which is Thomas Hayden Church and Sarah Jessica Parker. So everybody involved in that has to have at least 3 names. Okay. And it's about this couple who, season 1 is kind of about them getting divorced and then like their life afterwards. And the first season's kind of sad. And as it goes on, I guess compelling is the word I was used. I'm just interested in what's going to happen with these characters. And they're brief seasons. I want to say there's like maybe 20 some episodes across 3 seasons. It's a max thing. I think we might have the first season on DVD, but I really liked it. I was sad that it was done. And then I watched in its entirety Star Wars Skeleton Crew. Have you watched it?
We've been meaning to, but we haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah.
I feel like we've just been kind of out of the like Disney Plus shows for a little while.
That's
and now that we're watching Daredevil, I'm like, okay, like maybe we should go back and clean up some that we missed.
I think, Skeleton Crew, definitely. I mean, I'm interested for you to watch it post Goonies, because there's one episode where I'm like, this is the Goonies, right down to them sliding down water slides.
That's really
it's
funny.
Like it is the Goonies. I guess I would classify Skeleton Crew as harmless. It's fine. There's some good moments. It finished. Do I ever want to revisit those characters or that world again? I do not. But yeah, it's not a huge thing for me. But any other TV shows for you?
I think just Daredevil.
That's
I was
fine.
trying to reflect if there was anything else, but that was all I could come up with.
I am watching a show called Paradise, which I think is maybe a Hulu original, but that's why I'm watching it. And it's good. It's I didn't know anything about it, so I don't want to tell you anything about it. So I'll just say that it's a political mystery.
Okay.
It's how we are brought into this world. And then I'm also watching a show called Watson, because I guess I can't resist these Sherlock Holmes without Sherlock Holmes kind of things. And it's about Watson just starting a medical practice after the death of Sherlock Holmes. It's set in modern times.
Is he solving mysteries, or is it just like a medical drama?
Well, it's kind of it's a lot like House. If you ever watched that show, so it is a lot of. I
sort of know what it is.
It's a lot of like medical mysteries, and House itself was based on Holmes. It was like House and Wilson was Holmes and Watson. There seems to be also an ongoing mystery, and Moriarty has been introduced, and I don't know. It's not great, but it's kind of, I don't know. It's kind of bad in a fun way.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah,
if you keep going for these, I feel like you got to read those Enola Holmes books.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're right.
It seems like that's.
I heard announcements about a movie 3.
I saw that, but I wasn't sure if it was like. There's like so much like show announcement related like made up clickbait on like certain social media platforms.
That's true.
And it'll just be like every day I'll see a different release date for whatever Stranger Things season 5 that are all.
You're right.
So anytime I see something like that, I'm like, is that real? Or were they actually making Stranger Things?
Yeah.
Whatever,
Yeah.
or is
I know.
But I hope that they make another Enola
I guess
movie.
you're
That'd
right. That's probably something to take with a grain of salt. But I feel like, everybody loves Millie Bobby Brown, and those
I don't know
well
why
for
they
them.
wouldn't
so, why
do
not?
another one.
Why not?
Although I don't know what they're going to do, because the first one mostly followed the first book, although it made a few weird changes. Yeah. But the second one completely not at all followed the second book.
Okay.
So I have no idea.
Yeah, maybe they'll tap back in, or maybe they'll just go off.
I don't know if they're
own
just going to be like, we're making up new
direction.
stuff, or if they're going to backtrack.
Yeah, who knows?
I don't know.
Yeah, those are the things I'm watching. So movies?
Did we talk about Tenet already? Or I can't remember when we watched that.
No, I don't think we had.
Okay, I watched Tenet with my family.
Did you like it?
Yes.
Yeah, that's definitely my least favorite Christopher Nolan movie.
Fair.
By a long shot.
There were definitely things about it that I was like, I don't know if I like that. But I think overall, I enjoyed it.
Okay.
I don't know if I could rewatch it.
Did not enjoy
but
it.
I also think it would be an interesting one to rewatch because of like how, like, I don't know. There's like so many elements and like things that you learn later. So I feel like it'd be very interesting to rewatch, but I feel like it was just long enough and there were just enough things that I was like, that I don't know if I could do it or not.
The reversal stuff just did nothing for me.
You didn't? You didn't like that?
No, I didn't. You could watch Insomnia with Al Pacino. There you go.
Okay.
Chris Nolan and Al Pacino and Hilary Swank.
I thought it was kind of interesting because like I've seen so many time travel things.
Yeah.
But the concept of being like, you're not exactly time traveling, you're going backwards, but you end up traveling because of that. I thought that was niche enough that I was intrigued.
I agree. I think there was something to it, but I thought the execution and the visuals was just kind of like...
There were a lot of parts that were confusing in terms of how they were executing that. It's like, wait, so are they going backwards or not? Are they going backwards? They went backwards, but then this happened and now she's backwards. And like, there were some parts where I feel like it got a little murky in terms of what was actually happening.
That's a thumbs down for me. Didn't like that one. Speaking of things I didn't like, I watched Moana 2.
Oh, you didn't like it?
Ugh. Have you seen it?
No. I'm always skeptical of a sequel like that, basically. So usually I don't watch that unless someone is like, we're watching this.
Well, the music in the first Moana is amazing.
It's really good.
And the music in the second one is like the most forgettable thing I've ever heard. And they also sample some of the big themes from the first movie. So whenever like an old song comes back, it's like, right, the music was so great. And then it stops and I'm like, I can't remember anything.
Wow.
The thing that's the most damning about it was that it was designed... Originally, the scripts were written for it to be like a mini series.
Okay.
And it very much has that kind of pacing and the increase in characters and everything are what you need to tell an elongated story like that. When they decided to make it a movie, it's like they didn't really toss out those scripts. They just cut them down. So there's a supporting cast where I feel they cut all the development, so they don't really matter.
Right.
And Moana and Maui spend like no time together. They're not together for at least the first hour of the movie. And so it's like...
How long is the movie?
It's like 2 hours.
Okay.
I know. So, I mean, that's rough. And I would say the last half hour is genuinely good and interesting because it's like this series finale. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, the thing that really killed it is the music. I mean, it's just so... It's such a horrible comparison.
Yakers.
So, and I loved the first one so much. So I was hoping against hope that it would work, and it didn't.
Disappointing.
I know. What else did you watch?
I also watched The Batman. This was a rewatch.
Oh yeah, okay.
With my family.
Yeah.
Which was funny because it meant that we
you
watched.
love Twilight, so I mean, obviously, Rob Pattinson's probably.
But
good
he's
posters,
also in Tenet, so it was almost like I think like 2 weeks back to back. We were just watching movies with Pattinson, which was kind of funny. But
I feel like I threw out there that you had Twilight posters in your room, and that was just a joke, and I don't want people to think you had Twilight posters.
I like you that you clarified that. That's really important.
I just think people need to know.
Yeah. I guess I kind of assumed that it would be obvious that was a joke, but
I don't know.
It's hard to say.
Did you have posters in your room? Did you have boy posters?
I had.
Was that still a thing?
Cat posters.
Okay.
I don't know if other people had. I don't know if that was still a thing or not.
Yeah.
I don't think any of my friends had posters of like boy bands or anything like that.
I had a poster of Tiffany Amber Thiessen from 90210.
Okay.
She was just like smiling from the opening credits.
Okay, fair enough.
Had a crush on her.
Yeah.
Saved by the Bell to 90210, you know.
I mostly had lions and tigers.
And bears.
No bears, actually.
Oh, okay.
That's a little bit of a shame.
Yeah.
And mostly just like weird animal sciencey stuff like that, I want to say.
Okay, that feels right.
Yep.
Who's your childhood crush? Now I want to know.
Like on a celebrity?
Yeah, or whatever. I mean, probably like Lord Byron. You're such a nerd.
Lord Byron is too sleazy for my childhood self to crush on.
I'm sorry.
That's a good question. Maybe Adam Young from Owl City.
Oh, okay.
I want to say.
All right.
And the fox from Robin Hood.
Sure.
Not to get creepy, but like
no. I mean, no. I think it'd be weird if you didn't.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean? That's fair.
So okay, now that we've covered that, you can continue with Robert Pattinson.
We rewatched The Batman. And I was a little bit like, woof, because I enjoyed it a lot the first time, but it is a long movie.
Long. Yeah, for sure.
But I enjoyed it again, so that was cool. And I feel like I didn't remember as much as I thought I had. So it like held up pretty well for a rewatch. It wasn't like, okay, I've seen all this before.
Hey, you know what? I just ordered The Penguin on DVD. We're going to have it here. So you should watch it. I actually think you should watch it.
Maybe I will.
It has its violent moments, but usually you can tell and you can look away.
Yeah, I'm great at predicting when a violent moment is coming. Yeah. That's one of my superpowers.
Penguin was so good, though. And I did not have it on my bingo card, loving The Penguin show, but it was very good.
Okay.
So if you like The Batman, I would check it out.
Noted.
All right. So you watched The Batman.
I also rewatched Pride and Prejudice 2005. Have you seen that one?
No, that's the Keira Knightley one?
Yeah, that's the Keira Knightley one.
No, I've seen zero Pride and Prejudice.
Oh, yeah,
I don't know how I've avoided this. My wife genuinely...
I'm a little surprised that
many times has been like, let's just watch the Colin Firth Pride and Prejudice, and I just don't want to.
Why not? It's so good.
I just don't want to.
It really is
I read the
done.
book. We did a whole episode about it.
And so you'll understand everything going on in the movie, and you'll appreciate what a good film adaptation it is.
I also saw a stage version of it. So that's 2 Prides and Prejudice.
Well, that's not bad.
Yeah.
That's okay. It could be better.
Okay. Did it hold up, I guess? Do you
like it? I hadn't seen it for a long time. And
I thought it was like an either-or thing. Either you love the Colin Firth or you like this...
the Colin Firth version is the version for sure. But I enjoy the 2005.
Okay.
It's just not nearly as accurate.
Right.
But I was talking with one of my friends who was like, yeah, I feel like the 2005 is a better adaptation, not because it's more accurate, which is what I feel like a lot of people tend to think of as like, this is what makes a good adaptation. But she said it's more Lizzie's story. The 1995 with Colin Firth is like really Darcy heavy. Like he really shines in that, which I mean, like Colin Firth does a great job as Darcy. But the 2005 is like really like Lizzie's story, and you like see her interiority and everything. So I was really curious about that, and I thought I'd rewatch it with that lens. And I do feel like it is very focused on her, but I also just feel like it feels so abbreviated that it's almost hard to believe the story. Like it almost stretches credibility that the things that happen would happen, I feel like. And you can just tell that it's like not the most historically accurate or book accurate. But it's fun. Just the 1995 is the version.
Okay. But Colin Firth wasn't your childhood crush. It was the Owl City guy.
Oh, Colin Firth was my middle school crush.
Got you. Okay. All right. I watched Black Bag. It's a new movie in theaters. They still have those. Did you know? You can go see a movie in a theater.
That's crazy.
It's directed by Steven Soderbergh and starred Cate Blanchett and Michael Fassbender. And it was just like a slick spy thriller.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, it was just like I was almost like we left and I was expecting more complexity. Not that it needed it, but I was expecting more. And it was a very straightforward, just a fun, cool spy movie, and I appreciated it. So,
that's pretty good.
I liked it quite a bit.
Nice.
Yeah. Anything else on your watching list?
I do have one other weird thing, and I know you enjoy it when I pull out the weird things.
I do.
I watched 2 Slugterra movies.
2?
Ghoul from Beyond and Return of the Elementals.
I mean, I'm learning right now that there is 1 Slugterra movie. So imagine my surprise when I learned that there's a second.
They're only like an hour long.
Okay.
And so it was my brother's pick, and he was like, we're just going to watch both of them because that'll be as long as a movie anyone else would pick, basically.
It's a commitment.
And they're really just like long episodes, basically. And I think they might not have even been a whole hour long. But Ghoul from Beyond. So, okay, Slugterra.
Are they like Power Rangers-esque? No, because it's animated.
Like Pokemon,
it's animated, right? Okay.
But these little sluggy guys that you like shoot from a blaster, and they transform and have really cool powers, basically. Okay. And it's like under the world and caverns kind of a situation. I think it's pretty fun and cute. But Ghoul from Beyond, so there's like these evil slugs where they get like poisoned with this stuff and they turn evil and they're like, nah, nah. And they like click their teeth at you and everything.
Okay.
And in Ghoul from Beyond, this guy comes through this cavern where they didn't think anyone could come from. And he's being all evil and everything. And they think, like, oh, he's a bad guy. Then they realize, spoilers! His slug, his ghouled slug, is controlling him. And the ghoul is actually the villain of the movie.
Oh.
And it's just this little 2-inch menacing slug. I know, okay. I'm sorry. It's this 2-inch little menacing slug, and he like monologues and everything, and it's just this little slug like moving his arms and like I enjoyed it a lot because of that.
Okay.
It was very silly.
That's like in classic Shazam comics, Mr. Mind was a recurring character, and he was a tiny little, like, I think a caterpillar, actually, who had these mind powers and control people and stuff, but he was just a little boop boop. Mm-hmm. Did you watch the Shazam movies?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, he cameos in them.
Okay. Well, that's
fun. It's funny.
Slugterra.
Okay.
It's a pretty fun kids show.
All right. I mean, good for you. Just going for it. I feel like if that was the pick and I was in the room, I would have not been as cool about it.
We're pretty committed to the one member of my family, who shall remain nameless, has a tendency to nope out of other people's picks and go read Brandon Sanderson books.
I want to know who it is. Is it your husband? Your dad?
It's a secret. I mean, it could be anyone because we all read Brandon Sanderson.
All right.
But everyone else is very committed to sticking with whoever's pick, however weird it is.
Wait, there was a Slugterra revival? Slugterra Ascension?
Probably.
You got to watch that now.
I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know. That might be a little too far for me.
I'm falling down a slug-filled rabbit hole here.
The slugs are really cute, and I feel like that is probably what makes the show work.
Is their arch nemesis Salt?
No.
Oh.
It's an evil guy who makes evil slugs.
Okay, but nothing to do with Salt.
Not that I'm aware of.
It seems like leaving money on the table, but that's fine. Okay. What about just in your life? Anything happening in your life?
Just in my general life, I did finish ASL 1 online through Oklahoma School for the Deaf.
Congratulations.
So I'm pretty proud of myself for that.
All right. Music?
And I got out my tin whistle for St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, nice.
I felt very celebratory.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
I've been listening to an album called I'm a TV by Mae Martin.
Like a television?
It's just called I'm a TV. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is raising a lot of questions for me.
Mae Martin co-hosts the Handsome Pod with Tig Notaro and Fortune Feimster, and I like that. And they have this album out, and some of the songs are pretty good. So I was like, I'm going to give it a shot. But that's pretty much it. I did put in a request for the next Sonny Randall book that I'm on, because I've read all the Robert Parker ones when new authors have picked it up, and I've read a couple of those, but I realized there was a couple that I haven't read, so I was going to read one of those just to get back in the Sonny Randall zone.
Smart.
So,
good thinking.
Have you picked up a Sonny Randall yet?
I have started Family Honor.
Oh, you started it. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
I'm reading
Stone-faced. She's giving me nothing. I don't know if she likes it or not.
You'll have to find out.
Okay. All right, and find out we will when we reconvene in 2 weeks to discuss Robert Parker's series, Sonny Randall, particularly the book Family Honor, which we have here in the collection, currently on the But Have You Tried bookshelf.
Oh, really? I thought I had our copy checked out.
I think we had a couple. I think we also had a paperback.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So
mystery solved.
Yeah, and the mystery we will solve next is whether or not you like it.
That's
so
right.
I'll see you then.
Sounds good.
Okay, bye.